Hello, my name is Kathryn and I'm a clinical psychologist that works here for Mid Yorkshire Hospitals. You may have seen reported in the news that in a national survey of over 2,000 people, more than half of people right now are experiencing some difficulties with their sleep. Now, whenever we read about sleep, or whenever it's talked about on the TV and radio, there's a big emphasis on how important it is to get good quality sleep and the potential consequences for not getting enough. And that can put us under a lot of pressure when we're not sleeping well. And in turn, that worry about getting to sleep can make sleep even worse. So what I want to do in this video is to give you a few practical tips on what you can do if you're struggling with your sleep right now. If you're a shift worker, there's a bit more specific advice that we need to give you, and that's contained in another video on this channel by my colleague Daniel, so do check it out after you've watched this video. Sometimes our sleep is sensitive to the environment around us, so things like noise coming from a road or coming from another bedroom. It might be light, especially at this time of year where we've got very light nights and very light mornings, or things such as the quality of the room around us, whether it feels like a calm and inviting place to go to sleep, or whether it is a reminder of stress, maybe by having work things out around us in the room, or an unfinished room if you're in the middle of some DIY. And other things like the tog of the duvet being too hot, being too cold. All of those things can affect your ability to get to sleep. So just have a quick look around your bedroom environment and think, is this a place that makes me feel comfortable in order to go to sleep? Do I feel like this is my haven for sleep? A place where I'm going to feel calm and relaxed and invites me to fall asleep. And you may want to think of a few little changes that you can make, such as testing out some blackout blinds or moving the bed so that it's no longer getting as much light pollution from the cracks either side of the window. Or even swapping bedroom entirely if you think you might get better sleep in a room that's away from the front of the house, away from a main road. If you use an alarm clock and it's on the bedside table or somewhere that you can see from bed, it's usually better just to turn it around so that it's not facing you anymore, because you don't want to get into the habit of clock watching in the middle of the night or waking up and seeing what time it is, because knowing the time doesn't make us more likely to fall asleep and is only likely to make us more anxious. Just test a few things out and see if you can get the environment to be the place that you feel calm and relaxed. Sleep is quite sensitive to routine. As humans, we prefer to have a fairly consistent routine. We like to know what's coming. We like things to be the same. And it's very much the same with sleep. It's always best to have a fixed waking up time and a fixed bedtime, and not to vary that too much, because it will knock your sleep out of kilter. Try not to sleep in on weekends or days off if you can. I know that feels like a big ask, but regularity really is key. Consistency is key when it comes to sleep. If you do need a nap during the day, then it's best to do it early on, no later than sort of mid-afternoon, and keep it short, keep it to 20 minutes if it refreshes you. But try not to get into the habit of longer or later naps than that, because it'll just disturb your sleep on the evening. And my key idea when it comes to routine is to think about what we do for our children. So children, we don't expect them to go from running around madly around the house, watching TV, jumping up and down, and then try and plop them into bed at the end of the day and expect them to fall asleep. We do a sleep routine for them, so we spend the last couple of hours before we want to get them into bed slowly winding them down. We don't let them jump around as much, and we do things like give them a nice warm bath. We lower the light levels. We might do a bedtime story. We might let them just read gently on their own in their room in some lower lighting, and then hopefully they sort of gradually drift off into sleep. And that's what we do for our children, because we know it works. But then as adults, we kind of forget about that, and we expect us to go from busy of the daytime routine, of worrying, of planning, of trying to organise stuff, and then we try and drop ourselves into bed at the end of the day and expect that we're going to fall asleep. So really think about how you spend that last 1 to 2 hours before going to bed, and make sure again it's conducive to sleep. So if you can, have a bath or a shower, a nice hot milky drink, start to wind down the activity level in the house, try and soften the lighting, and again just try and gently guide yourself into sleep, and especially if you can keep it the same every day so you get that consistency effect as well. The next thing to think about is worry on a night time. So that feeling that you're getting into bed and your mind is not switching off, that it's overactive, that it's churning through thoughts, and it's just disturbing your ability to get to sleep. Really, really common and really, really frustrating when you're lying in bed and you're just churning through loads of different thoughts. So one really helpful tip is to use a worry diary. So to find yourself a small notebook or some bits of paper and keep it on your bedside table. When you get into bed at the end of your bedtime routine, spend 10 or 15 minutes just jotting down everything that's on your mind at the moment, everything that your mind keeps telling you to worry about, any worrying thoughts, and anything that you've got to remember as well. You know, the things you've got to organise, the things you've got to plan. Don't forget to buy that birthday card, don't forget to go to the pharmacy, and jot it all down in that book with today's date. When you get to the end of 10-15 minutes, if you feel you've got it all down, close the book, put it in your bedside drawer. Then every time your mind gives you the same worry, because it's going to keep giving you the same worries over and over again, just gently remind yourself, it's okay, it's in the book, we've got it, I'll deal with it tomorrow. And just gently repeat that to yourself every time a worry comes up. If a new worry comes up that you didn't write down, then that's fine, you can gently get out the book, add it to your list, and then put that one away and say, yeah, deal with that one tomorrow as well. When you're in bed, another good thing that you can do is occupy your mind with a little game. The theory is that when we're worrying, we're using the part of the brain that processes words and language. And if we can occupy or distract that part of the brain with something else, then it won't be able to do as much worrying, and then hopefully we can drift off to sleep. So I've got a few ideas for you that I find particularly useful. First is sort of a memory game. So trying to say to yourself, say all the different countries in Europe, or all the different counties, or maybe starting with the alphabet and working through from A to Z and naming a type of fruit or a vegetable or a boy's name that fits each of the categories. You can also do something sort of more numerical, so you might want to start at 1,000 and take away sequential sevens. It doesn't really matter what the game is. The key thing is that there are no winners or losers with the game. It's not trying to test you in any way. It's literally just a way of occupying that part of the brain, which means that if you do lose track or the worries come in, it doesn't matter if you have to start at the beginning, and don't feel frustrated by it. Just start wherever you can remember, or change the game up and try something else. It's just a means to an end. For other people, they find that listening along to some sort of audio can be helpful, again, to disturb and distract from that worry process. So it might be something like listening along to Radio 4, or listening along to an audio book or a podcast can be helpful just to distract the mind from thinking and allow you to drift off. And again, the important thing here is it's not something that's so engaging that you're going to get caught up in it. So don't listen to a murder mystery or something really thrilling. Something that you wouldn't mind if you fell asleep and missed. Something that you're a bit interested in and might keep you occupied while you're awake. But if you do miss it, then you're not going to be too disheartened. Looking at the national survey data, about 2 in 5 people right now are experiencing more vivid or more frequent dreams. Dreams are the way that our brain processes, makes sense of, and stores information that it's learned. So it makes sense that if things are more challenging for you right now, if things are different, say you've been redeployed or you've come back to practice, or if you're going through something quite distressing, that your mind is going to be producing more dreams in order to work that out and work through it and make sense of what's happened. So if you are experiencing more vivid dreams, then it's completely normal. The reason that we remember a dream is usually because we wake up in the middle of it happening, and waking up in the night is really normal anyway. So what I would say is, Don't try and squash down this process, don't try and stop it, don't feel too anxious that that's what's happening. Just try and let your brain run its course and work through what it needs to work through. And it might be if something's particularly big and tricky that it gives it back to you over several nights while it's trying to work it out. But hopefully the further away you get from the stressful event that started it, the more that those dreams ease off. If you don't find that the dreams ease off, if they're particularly distressing, if they're really getting in the way of you being able to sleep, if you're fearful of going to sleep because of those dreams, especially if they're persisting a month to 6 weeks at the end of everything going back to normal, then do get in contact, because there are some pretty practical and useful tips that we can teach you to help your brain along with this process. Finally, if you can't sleep at all, if you've put all these tips into practice and you're still finding yourself staring at the ceiling and your mind just will not switch off, it's fine. We've all been there. It's frustrating, but hopefully your sleep will go back to more of a normal pattern in the next few days, and it's just about getting through tonight. There are two main schools of thought about what to do if you really can't sleep and you're not getting anywhere. For some people, they find the fact that they can't sleep and they're in bed really frustrating and really annoying, in which case, get up out of bed, go somewhere else in the house, maybe go to the living room and sit on the sofa, turn the TV down low and just watch something pleasant and kind, or put on an audiobook, or read with a nice hot milky drink, and just focus on getting rest. Focus on conserving your energy and not stimulating yourself too much. If you do find you're starting to feel sleepy, you start thinking, I'm going to nod off, you can go back into bed and see if you can just drift off. But again, if you're not asleep in another 15 minutes, then I would just get back out of bed and go and sit somewhere else quietly in the house. Some people, however, don't like the idea of not being in bed in the middle of the night and would much prefer to be in bed even if they don't sleep. And again, that's absolutely fine. If you feel that you just want to rest in bed, if you want to listen along to an audiobook, and if you just want to conserve your energy that way, then that's also fine. It's just about what feels less frustrating for you, whether it's to get up and kind of give up as if on sleep, or whether it's to stay and just enjoy a bit of peace and quiet and rest. Either is fine. Okay, so those are my top tips for how you might be able to help your sleep during this time. Again, if you're a shift worker, you might want to look at some more specific advice around sleeping when you're a shift worker. So do check out Daniel's video on this channel, and also check out the other videos as well. There are some really useful relaxation and mindfulness resources that can be really helpful if you're struggling to sleep. Thank you.